Hello once again and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week we're on episode 112.
112?
And we are talking about Charles Dickens.
Are we really?
So stick around if you want to hear more. Hello, my name is Connor and I am the son of Father and Sundays.
Hello, my name is David and I am the father of Father and Sundays.
Hello.
Hello. Just before we go any further, lovely haircut.
Thanks, you got nice hair as well.
Thank you very much indeed. Our personal hairdresser, Di, she was around today.
Barber?
Barber. She does all the stars. She does lots of celebrity haircuts, but she has done ours today and it's looking really
She did your
quite
eyebrows
cool.
as well, didn't she?
She done my ears and my eyebrows and not so much of my hair.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the way it
Can't
is
even
when you
see
get
your
older.
eyebrows from here.
Because they're the same as my face.
Right.
So how have you been this week?
Not bad. Has anything happened that I've forgotten?
Well, it's been a busy week. I was away last weekend.
I spent quite a lot of time
on your own.
my own, which I quite liked.
Found yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
Where were you?
You asked me, did you miss me? And I said,
no. You see, I get the feeling you did really miss me,
No.
but you just don't want to say it.
I didn't.
No, you did though. You did. You said,
didn't.
"Oh, I've been on my own," because you said to me, "Oh, you've been hardly here," and it sounded like you were really sort of upset about it. So you don't have to say
I
it out
wasn't.
loud on this podcast, but we both know how much you miss me.
Did you miss me?
I always miss you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish you'd have been there instead of me. No,
Nice.
not really. On that train journey, anyway. Yes, but we went up. I joined my wife and we were babysitting grandson David. So that was fun.
He walks now, doesn't he?
He walks, and he talks. Well, he
He
not so
talks?
much talks, no.
Oh, so
But he walks, and what happens is he starts trotting off, and then he goes into the kitchen, and you go after him, and he turns around and laughs at you, and then runs off even more. So he's quite enjoying getting chased around everywhere. But yes, he is, because he's mobile, he's a little bit more of a handful than what he was before when you just plopped him down on the floor and he didn't move. But that's the same with all babies. Interesting journey up there. I was really proud of myself. I managed to get on 3 different trains.
Well done.
The correct ones.
That's
My
good.
last train I got on, I was unfortunately opposite a professional nose picker
oh, nice.
who
Lovely.
picked her nose for much of the journey, which was a couple of hours long.
Well,
So that was
did
choice.
she offer you a snack?
No, I felt like I kept thinking in my head. I did write a poem about it, but
Did you?
yes, I did write a poem
What was it,
about
on
it. And I put it on Facebook, yeah.
All right.
And
I saw you did a post. I just liked it.
you just didn't bother looking at it, did you? Because it was upsetting you how
Well,
much you
because
missed
what
me.
happens is
You didn't want to remind yourself.
Absolutely not. No, but what happens is you tell us these things, and then you post about them. So I just assume it's going to be the same thing.
No, I think I posted about the fact that what do you do when you're sitting opposite someone, and then because I was sitting there so long and it was just preoccupying my mind, I ended up writing a poem while I was sitting there. But I really wanted to. In my head, I thought when I get up, she'll still be sitting there, and I'll just reach over and touch her on the shoulder and say, I hope you find what you're looking for. And then get off. But she got off the station before me, so I couldn't do that. But anyway, yeah, that was that. That was a bit gross.
Would you have
but
done that though?
no, probably not. But in my head, it seemed funny. So we'll just leave it there.
That's all that matters, really, isn't it?
It is all that matters. After that, went to wedding on Monday for Steph and David's wedding, which was glorious and lovely, and really enjoyed that. A bit more on the Tuesday as well. Lots of Jamaican food,
Nice.
which was very enjoyable.
Did you have the goat curry?
I didn't have the goat curry actually, but I kept having these. They look like mini Cornish pasties, but they did have beef in them, but they had spices in them as well. Patty things they were called.
Oh yeah,
But
Mum
they
said
weren't
she could
called
have the
patty
patties.
things, but I had loads of them. Far too many.
Yeah.
But other than that, no.
Why didn't you try the curried goat?
Oh, because by the time I got to the point where the curry goat had come
Were you
out,
scared of it?
I was a little bit scared of it. No, and I was a bit disappointed because at one point I'd been eating a lot of these patties, and they're very savoury. And I was hankering for something sweet, and I had one of the cans of something, and then someone brought out Quality Street or Rose. Mum says she thinks it was roses. Put roses, and I thought, excellent. I'm going to go over there and get a few chocolates because that'll just actually sort of. Can you imagine the disappointment when it was opened up and there was ice in it? They were just carrying it out there. I was absolutely distraught, and it all went downhill after that.
Did you cry?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, there we go. So it was
Mum
a busy
had to
week.
hug you and console you?
No, Mum doesn't hug me to console me anyway, does she? So that's not going to happen. But yeah, so it was a little time away from home. You missed me loads.
I did not.
It was that very busy week. But that's not what we're here to talk about, unless you've got anything you want to talk about before then.
No, but you make it sound like we have to talk about something really important.
We do. We've got to talk about Charles Dickens, Connor. Charles Dickens, who, by the way you looked past me then, I thought I'd just walked into the room.
I was looking at something else. Charles Dickens.
So, Charles Dickens, I've got a few bits and pieces about Charles Dickens, about like sort of when he was born and all the rest of it, and a little bit about his life.
Born in 1812.
You know that, do you?
Yeah.
Can you see it through this piece of paper
Nope.
I'm holding up? Right.
I should
Had
know
you
it.
had a little look. Do you know much about Charles Dickens?
Nope. Apart from the fact he was born in 1812.
And that he's a writer, yeah.
And and he
presumably.
wrote a number of novels.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know any of those novels?
A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Oliver.
Yes.
Great Expectations.
Excellent.
There was another one.
Yep. That's right. There was another one.
Slightly longer title.
Yes.
Yep. And there was another one as well.
Wow, that's 3 more than I thought you were going to get there. The fact that you knew about Great Expectations and the other one and the other one, I'm amazed. I'm really pleased.
Yeah, but there is one with a long title, isn't
What,
it?
the old Curiosity Shop?
That might have been the one I was thinking about.
It might be. Well, we'll run through that anyway. But the guy was born on the 7th of February, 1812. And do you know what his name was?
Not Charles.
It was
Charles.
Charles John Huffam Dickens.
So you made it sound like he had a completely different name then.
No, but Huffam's quite unusual, isn't it?
Oh.
What? This is
So's David.
Maybe. Not really then, because he had a famous David Copperfield. See, David's are famous throughout.
David Copperfield, is that the magician?
Not the magician, no, the character.
Oh, right.
He travelled around with his family due to his dad having a job that was constantly moving. He was a train driver. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Was there a book about... Was there trains around that time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a book about trains that he wrote?
I don't know. There might be trains in some of the books that he wrote. I'll have a look. When we run through them in a little while, we'll have a little look and see if any of them could be referred to as that. But his dad was a clerk in the Royal Navy Pay Office, so he had to go from place to place and do that work. Charles Dickens worked from 12, which is a little bit late if you ask me, because I get up at 6 like that, in a blacking factory. And a blacking factory was something that they created boot polish.
Oh, makes sense, actually.
By all accounts, a really horrible job to have.
Yeah, but like a blacking factory and they made shoe polish,
which was...
Makes sense.
There wasn't lots of colours. There was only really...
Yeah, everything was black and white back then, wasn't it?
Everything was black and white back then. But the chemicals used in that... He was only 12 years old. I was joking about it being 12 o'clock.
I got that, thanks.
Right, so it must have been a really unpleasant job, and I got the feeling from what I read that he pretty much hated it. But his father, see, this was what weird. I didn't realise this. His father was sent to prison for not being able to pay his debts. I think he owed a baker some money and a butcher some money, right? Don't know about a candlestick maker. But he owed money to people, so he was sent to prison. But in those days, if you were sent to debtor's prison, the whole family went.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, that's a bit harsh. But so like it was like me doing something wrong, and then all of you having to come to prison with me. It does seem
Sorry
a
about
bit,
this, guys.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys, but I've got a speeding ticket and now we've all got to go to prison. But he didn't have to go to prison. Because he carried on working in the... I think because he had a job, they let him carry on working in the blacking factory.
How about if... so say, for example... I went to prison.
Yes.
And you say about the whole family have to go to prison. Would that include so would you have to go to prison?
I
if I went
don't
to
know
prison?
whether it was...
Does it go that way round?
I don't know whether it was bottom to top or just top to bottom. I think because of you
I think
being...
it's top to bottom, but does it go both ways? That's the question.
No, I don't think it would.
Why? Why you think you can get out of this? Because I'm in extreme debt.
Think. No, are you? I think it was that at that time the man of the house, the father, was seen as the breadwinner and would probably be the only income normally.
Yeah, you don't know the answer, do you?
No.
You're making it up.
You can look that one up, so you won't. He only stopped working in the blacking factory when his father come into some inheritance. A relation died and they suddenly had money and they were able to come out of prison because they could pay their debts and actually were comfortable then.
Yeah.
Which, is bizarre. But as I say, the bit of going to prison just because someone in your family has done something wrong.
So was he living on his own when they went to prison?
Living on his... He's probably working and living in the same place. That's another thing I didn't...
Like a workhouse.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a workhouse, but yes, yeah. So he had I think he came from quite humble and poor beginnings, but then his life kind of changed a little bit. He became a really successful journalist. So that's when the writing...
What did he report on?
Everything,
Like sports?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, things
About
things
potential
that
transfers?
Yeah,
anything like West Ham transfers.
Yeah, on transfer deadline day, he was absolutely sort of worked to the bone, really.
Yeah.
Because of all those things that are happening in those particular times.
Yep.
So, but he was a journalist anyway. Well, I don't know if he was a sports journalist, but he was a journalist. But he was a very good one. He obviously had an ability to write, which obviously came later on when you start.
But did many people have the ability to read?
I don't know. Possibly not. Possibly at first the people that could read were people of a certain standing, like when
as
you start
to sitting.
Yes. So no, but people that had a certain amount of money, a certain amount of education, and obviously
so
people.
Where did he get his education from?
Well, I don't think he had. He wasn't. They weren't poor, but he was.
Or a prickly pear.
I knew you were going to say that when I said that, but. You seem to be finding gaping holes in my knowledge of Charles Dickens already, and we're only just started. But he did... Well, he obviously had a certain amount of education because he was a journalist, so he must have been able to read and write. But again, then he's...
Should we just move on?
We need to really move on, I think, because the time's against us. He wrote his first book, The Pickwick Papers, aged sort of 23, 24.
Was it a bit naff?
No, well, I don't
Shouldn't
know.
hear as much better, do you?
Well, I've heard of it, but I have never read it.
Did you heard about it because you read it on a website about Charles Dickens?
No. If you'd have said to me, list Charles Dickens novels, I would have said that one as well. Because I'm familiar
because they're
with...
written in front of you?
No, because I'm familiar with those particular... Most of them anyway.
Did he write Spiderwick Chronicles as well?
No, he didn't write that one. He was sort of... You're going into them realms now, aren't we? We can see where this is going. So he was about 23, 24. So he was younger than you. So what have you been doing with your life? He's already been in a blacking factory, right, and worked really hard. He's been a successful journalist, and now he's written his first book.
Yeah, but I've also worked really hard.
Yeah.
And I bet he's never done this. I've jumped out of a plane.
No, he probably hasn't jumped out of a plane or didn't jump out of a plane because people didn't do it like... Well, they did. People did do it deliberately, I suppose.
Did they have planes?
When did planes start being invented? Oh, this has made me look really stupid now. I probably know this if I think about it, but no, because we're talking about the 1800s here. So no, there wasn't planes, was there?
Yeah.
When did the Wright brothers...
I have to Google it.
Right, anyway, while you're Googling that, he wrote his first book, The Pickwick Papers, aged 23,
We've
24.
done a podcast on planes.
Which was serialised from March 1836 to November 1837 and published as a book in 1837, roughly 36, 37. So there was a lot of that goes on. I think I remember Conan Doyle, the Sherlock Holmes books, obviously they're books now, but they were serialised at first in the Strand magazine. That's where it became popular, and then they've been brought together and put into volumes. So go on, have you found out?
1903.
1903. So obviously he wouldn't have thrown himself out of a plane because planes didn't invent it. He might have thrown himself off the top of a building, but there was not anything higher than buildings. No, there would have been balloons, wouldn't there? Would there have been balloons? I don't know. You're really confusing me now. Yeah, there would have been balloons, wouldn't there? Hot air balloons. Because things like Zeppelins and that, I know they you wouldn't have had a Zeppelin then, but you would have had that sort of... Surely.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
1783.
But people don't tend to throw themselves out of balloons, do they? I suppose you could. Anyway.
Don't people bungee jump off of a hot air balloon sometimes?
That seems very, very dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. There are two things I want to do: hot air balloon ride and a bungee jump.
Well, you could do them at the same time, couldn't you?
Yeah. I could bungee jump into a shark cage
and do 3.
You're listening to Life Lessons for Children, brought to you by the Titan of Truth, the Master of Matter of Fact, Uncle David.
Good morning, boys and girls. You know when your mum and dad told you that your goldfish had died and that they had given it a touching and respectful funeral? They flushed it down the toilet. You're welcome.
You've been listening to Life Lessons with Uncle David, sponsored by Father and Sundays. See you next time.
Okay, so we've established there was hot air balloons. Shut up, don't start doing this. So we said the Pickwick Papers was one of his, 1836.
What papers?
The Pickwick Papers. But then there was Oliver Twist, which is obviously very famous.
Oliver.
Twist. In 1837. So that was the second. I think there was novellas that were written in between these, but that's quite early for that. Then there was Nicholas Nickleby in 1838. So these are turn. When I'm looking at the actual years of these, he's pushing out a book a year. That's quite good. The Old Curiosity Shop.
How long have you been writing your book for?
For years already.
Yeah.
The problem with my book, right, and you've made me stop reading this now, so this is your fault, is that I keep going off in I keep thinking I'm going to do it in a certain style, and then I start something else, and I think, no, I want to do it slightly different. So it's not. I keep going off in different directions.
You need to storyboard it.
I do need to storyboard it. The Old Curiosity Shop, 1840, right? And then you've got...
I think that's the one I was thinking of. The
Old Curiosity Shop, yeah. Barnaby Rudge in 1841, which I thought Barnaby Rudge was Cockney rhyming slang. I always thought that was Cockney rhyming slang.
For what?
God, I've Barnaby Rudge myself.
Fudged myself.
Yeah, so I always thought that was that. Martin Chuzzlewit in that's another one, 1843. I really need a Chuzzlewit. Oh no! Oh, Barnaby Rudge. He's obviously.
Maybe we can make it one.
I think we should. Dombey and Son, 1846. David Copperfield, 1849.
The Magician.
Bleak House in 1852. Hard Times, 1854. Little Dorrit, 1855. Tale of Two Cities, 1859. Great
That's the one.
Expectations.
That's the other one I was thinking of because it's the Tale of Two Kitties.
Oh, the Garfield one.
Garfield 2,
I thought
Tale
you
of Two
might.
Kitties.
Great Expectations, 1860. Our Mutual Friend, 1864. And The Mystery of Edwin Drood, 1870. He had novellas. Now, the famous one, A Christmas Carol, 1843. Then there was others that I haven't heard of. The Chimes in 1844, The Cricket of the Hearth, 1845, To Be Read at Dusk, 1846, and The Haunted Man, 1848.
And which one of those are about trains?
Great Expect train stations. I don't know.
Great Expectations. What's that about?
Oh, it's about...
Because they made a film, didn't they?
Yeah.
I've not seen it.
No, have I?
Oh. Is that on about trains?
Yes, definitely about trains. There's loads of trains.
I feel like it has got a train in it.
I have read there's someone has said it would be good, but there's far too many trains in it.
All right.
It's like an older version of Thomas. He had 10 children named after writers he admired, such as Hemingway, Fielding, Macready, Landor, Zeus and Williams.
And God, they wrote the Bible?
Yeah, that's true. Did he actually read it?
No.
Read it?
No.
I don't think he ever read it. Did he actually write it?
Jesus didn't write the Bible either. It was his disciples, really, the followers.
So it wasn't
that
God
wrote the Bible.
then either.
No, this is a thing. It's written by someone else. It's not
Yeah.
even written by the actual people.
Well, they're characters
It's
in
not
it.
really. It's hardly an autobiography, is it?
No, because they're characters in it. Oh no, that's the thing.
Anyway,
He had a portrait painted of his wife, which ended up looking like...
I like the Williams and stuff joke.
Did
That
you
was
like
good.
that? Yeah.
Like David Williams.
Yes, David
Yeah.
Williams. He had a portrait painted of his wife, which ended up looking like himself in drag. It was so bad,
Nice.
famously. But he separated from his wife because she
Looked like him in drag.
because he fell in love with someone else. But also because, and I read somewhere that his professional life was really exciting. You know, he used to mix with all these authors. He had all these friends and the socialites and that. And his family life, he found really mundane, being a father and a husband. And he really struggled with it. So I think he
How
looked
do you
for...
feel about being a father and a husband?
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
It is exciting.
Is it better than your other life?
My socialite life,
So,
when I
yeah.
hang around with other postmen and
Yeah.
and we talk about the best things we've posted that day.
And elastic bands and
Yeah.
stuff.
Now you've said that,
You
not
have
sure.
got some funny stories about things you posted, but
Yeah, I have got
things that shaped like phallic stuff.
Yeah, plenty of stuff like that, and things that are phallic stuff that I've posted. Anyway, we're getting a little bit.
That sounds like the start of a porn video.
Does it?
For the letterbox.
Oh, what was I saying today? I was saying today that I like every time Elvis Presley comes on the radio at work, I like to say, "Oh, I love this. I love Alvin Stardust," or I love Shakin' Stevens. It really annoys people that like Elvis Presley, right? And then the one that was on today was from the film Blue Hawaii, right? Which I convinced one of the others was a porn film that he was in. Oh dear. Anyway, he's like Shakespeare, Dickens. He invented new words. Now, the only thing I think about this is, do they actually invent these words, or are they the first ones to write them down?
Because what?
Well, I can invent a word.
We've done it before. We've invented a word, didn't we?
We did invent a word. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember what it was either.
But it
We'll
didn't
find
catch on, really. I was going to use it more often, but it didn't catch on. But if you invent a word, right,
Yeah.
no one necessarily will know about it until it's written down. And then I think there's a case that Shakespeare and Dickens wrote words down that they'd heard from other people, and then now everybody thinks they're the ones who've invented it. Discuss. Anyway, so he invented words.
Well, I guess they're the first. Well, yes, yeah, to a certain extent, but they are the first ones to kind of write that down,
He invented words like boredom,
right?
flummoxed, 2 words that could be attached to this podcast, and bar humbug, which I think up until A Christmas Carol was just 2 words. But he put them together.
Oh, right.
So people
yeah.
used to go bar, Well, cheap for a start.
Yeah, they did.
and people used to buy humbugs, but he was the first person to think, bar humbug catchphrase. Where are we? So, actually, he wrote about the class divide. So much of his books are about that, about the high society and the poor. He talked about prisons. He talked about poorhouses. What he did try and get across was that although a lot of his books had was humorous, he tried to make sure that people understood. The one with the trains is hilarious.
Yeah.
They keep missing the trains. Anyway,
They have to wait for the next one to come.
train come along,
But
and then
it's
there's someone
15
on the train
minutes
picking their
between
nose.
trains.
Yeah. But the thing was that he was trying to depict. He was saying people that go to prison, people that are in these situations, they're not in these situations because they're bad, and not everybody in prison is a madman or a murderer. People get sent to prison that are normal people. And he tried to depict that in a lot of his stories as well. But I think the other guys, like these literary friends that he had, were a little bit sniffy about him. They were a bit sort of that he made... Well, I mean, I have read Dickens' books and I can't remember them being hilarious, but for the time they were...
Didn't leave you in giggleplexia.
Giggleplexia, that's the one, isn't it? Yeah. No, it didn't leave me in giggleplexia. The names are quite amusing. They make me laugh. But to his friends, to his
Oliver Twist.
Yeah, that's quite funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Song, isn't it?
Well, if you think about... What was the one we were talking about just now? I mean...
One of the trains?
No, Martin Chuzzlewit.
Oh.
That's quite a funny name. Anyway... So they weren't so impressed with it because they thought he belittled literature by making these funny characters and all the rest of it. But, I mean, he still is, again, one of the most well-known and respected...
I think humour's evolved, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if he was to do stand-up nowadays, I don't think he'd do very well.
He probably wouldn't hit the mark like he should. But then we talk about of his time.
Who's better as a comedy writer, Lee Mack or Charles Dickens?
Up to about series 6 or 7, I'd say Lee Mack. After that, yeah, no, I do like him still. But no, if of the time, it was, it was funny. It was doing exactly what people do now when you get a comic stands up and starts talking about things that they've seen and part of their life and how they, observational comedy. I mean, he obviously wrote this into his novels, but it's a similar sort of thing.
He didn't invent the word, though.
Huh?
He didn't invent the word.
Well, there's supposedly quite a lot of words that he invented,
but not observational comedy.
He didn't invent that. No, he probably said observational and comedy, but he never thought about putting the two together like bar humbug.
I still don't understand the bar humbug thing. It doesn't really make sense.
Well, I think that's just humbug. It's just humbug's another word for
a sweet.
Well, no, it's like. I guess my only reference to it is a Christmas
Carol. Do you reckon
Carol.
it was in there as a joke that he went bar humbug? People are like, oh, bar humbug. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it don't make any sense. He died a wealthy man with an estate worth in today's times would have been about 50 million.
What was it then?
A couple of bob. He died on the 9th of June, 1870, age 58. But if you think about...
You're nearly 58.
I'm 3 years off that, yes. So I could write 3 of his books. I was thinking...
That doesn't work like that. You can't just write the same book again.
Can you not?
No.
People seem to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but his films and his books, he didn't make films. No, his books have been made into films. And
Oliver Twist. Scrooge many times.
Yeah. If you think about, I mean, when I was growing up, Oliver, the musical Oliver, like, I had no idea that was a book. I just thought it was the film was the film. It was a musical. Who thinks of making something like that into a musical? It seems like a bizarre thing to do. But that's really successful. A Christmas Carol's been made. We laugh about the Muppets, but doing these sort of things. But
yeah, it's a lot of people's favourite version, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, quite. But they've made so many different versions of that. Dramas on TV, things like Great Expectations.
The train one.
The train one. David Copperfield recently was a film. Most of them have been made.
Is David Copperfield a magician?
No.
Wherever I got that from.
No, he is a magician. There is a person called David Copperfield, an American, who's a magician.
Okay, so
he's
I've
the
got
one
it
who
from
made
there.
the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Well, do you know how he did
He
that?
made the Statue of Liberty look like it disappeared. Yes, I do know how he did it.
Did we talk about it in the Magic episode?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
He moved the
raft
perspective where they were. So
they were on a raft, weren't they?
Yeah, so the stage was, where it was, meant that it was obscured when it moved, and no one knew that it was moving. That was the whole thing. Well, he's an illusionist, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Magicians aren't wizards.
No, they're not. Wizards are wizards.
Yeah.
Magicians are people that pretend. Anyway, so David Copperfield. Don't know why I've said that word again, but it's just because you started talking about it as well.
The magician.
So, Christmas Carol. Now, Christmas Carol has been a big part of our lives. I was Tiny Tim in Christmas Carol, and I've got to say, I went down in an absolute storm. Right?
Yeah, one line, didn't you?
I had one line. God bless us and keep us, everyone. I did all of the performances because the other Tiny Tim dropped out.
You assassinated him? Oh.
Yeah. I locked him in the cupboard. And people were talking about it all year until we did the next production. And the next production, bizarrely, was Oliver.
Oh, I had a voice
And
crack.
I got the part of the butler.
Oh,
right?
not
Now,
Oliver.
it was a non-speaking part. I don't understand what happened there because obviously my triumph from the previous year. I've actually looked up, and he didn't even have a name in Oliver the Butler, right? He didn't really exist as such in that particular thing. So it sounds like they've made up a role for me, which I found quite upsetting. And that was only recently I looked at that.
Well, surely that should also be an honour because they wanted you in it so bad that they made a role for you.
They wanted me in it badly. They could have, but I could have been
You were
the Artful
blonde, weren't you?
Dodger. Huh?
You were blonde.
I could have been Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only I could read. But I think what eclipses all of those things is our adaptation of, and I know there's a lot of people writing in and messaging as we speak.
One notification.
Is our adaptation of A Christmas Carol, which we released as a pantomime.
Yes.
Now, I recently, only in the last few days, listened back to that, and I'd forgotten quite how chaotic that was. You could actually hear my patience slipping away moment by moment as you're going, so is it just, in my mind I'm going, read the piece of paper in front of you, read the script, and you're going, is it so and so?
Oh, Ebenezer Scrooge.
No, it isn't. But it did make me laugh again, but we'll have to do that again.
What, the exact same play?
No.
Do an adaptation,
No, what, a better
adaptation
one.
of it again.
Yeah, an adaptation of our adaptation.
Adaptation.
Oh, dear. But did you know something else, right?
you
It's the first
know?
time I've said that, isn't it, today?
For a while, actually.
Yeah.
I think,
He had, we've really scratched the surface of Charles Dickens, right? But he had a whole world created in a theme park down in Kent. Because he was born, I think, in Portsmouth, but he spent some time in Rochester in Kent, which they often have this Dickensian markets and all the rest of it. It's really good, really cool. But
have you been?
I think I have, yeah. I've certainly been to Rochester. And they built this thing, Dickens' world. Now, there's not a Shakespeare's world. There's places you can go and have a look. And I think this was a bit like, there's somewhere up in York that you walk
There is a
through.
Zeus landing, though.
Oh, yes, there is, yes. But very few authors have
And
had
Roald Dahl.
have their own theme park. Roald Dahl?
Roald Dahl.
I suppose into a certain respect, yeah.
Yeah, he's got stuff in Alton Towers, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But other than Roald Dahl...
Beano.
But that isn't the particular writer, is it? That's the actual publication, the Beano publication in Chessenham, wherever it is.
J.K. Rowling.
I suppose to a certain extent the world she created was... Well, look, he wasn't unique. Right? I'm not saying he was unique. I'm saying
Stanley.
it seems like a really strange thing to do. And I think most people thought it was quite a strange thing to do because I don't think it was open for a huge amount of time.
Oh, we can't. It's not open anymore.
It's not open anymore, no.
Oh.
But obviously they thought his popularity was that high still that they could build this amusement park in this building sort of interactive museum. And I think, the turnover was fairly high for some years and then it just dropped away and eventually closed. But then so did things like Crinkly Bottom, didn't it? And things like that. So that was a
Crinkly
theme
Bottom?
park.
Oh.
Well, there used to be a Noel's House Party, Mr. Blobby. So they opened a theme park, Mr. Blobby Theme Park, and I think Noel Edmonds pulled out of it in the end, or certainly signed away the rights. But there was a Crinkly Bottom Blobby World.
Because he's the one that pretty much made Mr. Blobby, wasn't
Well,
he?
I don't know if he invented the character, but he certainly was very much. He appeared on all his show. That's where he came from.
Mr. Blobby appears everywhere now, but I don't think he's got anything to do with him.
No, I don't think he has. No, and as for the theme park,
It's Noel's House Party, wasn't it?
He pulled out of the theme park because it was just getting ridiculous, I think, for him. But what I find really weird about places like that is apparently they've had to demolish it in the end because there was a manor house, Dunblobbin it was called. There was
Mr. Blobby one.
Mr. Blobby one, and it was just left. But then, like these things happen, people started to go there, like pilgrimage, to go and see it and all the rest. And in the end, they had to close it off, and in the end, they had to demolish it just because it was getting a bit ridiculous and
I'd
probably
like to
quite
go to an abandoned theme park.
No, that fascinates me. That's exactly why I've talked about it. That fascinates me, that to go to places. I've often looked on the internet. We know of, obviously, in Disney, when we've talked about that before, when you go to Magic Kingdom, and one of the places to the side as you're travelling towards Magic Kingdom, what was that called?
River Country.
River Country. So that was
abandoned water park.
And it's never been, and I think sometimes it's so expensive for them to remove all the stuff that it just gets left there anyway.
I
And
think
because
they are
if it's
removing
hidden,
it now.
well, maybe, but if it's
For
hidden,
a long time,
why wouldn't people?
the pools got left there, but they eventually filled in the pools because they would get mosquitoes breeding there and stuff
Oh,
like
I
that.
suppose anywhere.
But I think they were building something. I think they started to actually do something about it because they were going to build something there,
yeah.
which was something like a club or whatever. Although I think that was pre-pandemic, so I don't know if they got held up. Anyway, that's a completely different
We'll
topic.
have to look into that. But it's interesting anyway. So that's my information about Charles Dickens. Maybe one day people will open a sort of adventure park about us. But I doubt it.
Do you reckon?
No.
No, I don't think so. So have you got a song for me?
Yes, I have a song for you. I've written a song about Charles Dickens and about the time that Charles Dickens lived in. It's all about how I want to go and live in those times. And it's called Mr. D.
Oh, I'll give it a listen then.
Mr. D, how I miss your days of candlelight and gout, when you made up words like boredom we use now, and you could but nothing in between, Mr. D. With your house so bleak but expectations great, when Oliver had nothing on his plate, but he would ask for more, the cheeky little waif. When people had such funny names like Sweetle Pipe and Humble Chook, where brides would sit by mouldy cake and graveyards were the home of crooks, where boys like David Copperfield would be the hero of the book. Now that's a place where I'd like to be, a dirty, squalid life just for me. Mr. D, you didn't grow a beard till 43. Many people thought you strange, but never me. Your wife looked just like you, but if you were dressed in drag, such funny names like Wackford Squeers and Fezziwig, where ghosts would hold the old and cruel, and they all ate pudding full of figs. You couldn't walk the streets without the fear of getting pockets picked. Now that's a place where I'd like to be, a dirty, squalid life just for me. Mr. D, oh Mr. D, oh Mr. D, oh Mr. D.
Game time.
Woohoo! That was a nice song.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely. Okay, so
Should we play a game?
we'll play a game. What sort of game would you like to play?
Maybe Jigsaw?
No. How about a multiple
quiz?
choice quiz?
Nice.
Yes, I can do that for you. Okay, so this quiz is called What the Dickens?
What the Dickens?
All about Charles Dickens. So why don't you play my sting?
Play that sting.
Here's a little quiz to stretch your brain. You know the drill, it's much the same as every other quiz you've had to do. Fun for me, but not for you. So pull up a chair by the roaring fire. Try to relax, you look quite tired. Try to be less of a grumpy git, and take off your coat or you won't feel the benefit. What the Dickens?
What a lovely sting.
What a lovely sting as well. Did you particularly enjoy that sting?
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed it.
Even though I called you a git in it.
No, I didn't enjoy it.
Oh, I didn't think so. Okay, are you ready?
Yes?
Okay. What the Dickens? Question 1. We've already mentioned it, but the Dickens world was in full swing. When the Dickens world was in full swing, I'm going to start that question again.
If you could, yes.
Question 1. We've already mentioned it, but when Dickens' world was in full swing, it had attractions for customers, much like other fairs or amusement parks. But which one of these was the name of an actual attraction? So which one of these was the name of an attraction? You might see something slightly different here, or hear something slightly different here. Was it A, the Oliver Twister? Was it B, the Great Expectations log flume? Was it C, the Artful Dodgems? Or was it D, a Christmas Carousel?
So hang on, were all of those... Well, just
One of those was a ride or experience within Dickens' world, but which one? Was it the Oliver Twister, the Great Expectations log flume, the Artful Dodgems, or a Christmas Carousel?
One of them was.
One of them was.
The difficulty with the Great Expectations log flume is it's not a train, right?
No, and you'd think, bearing in mind, as far as I know, there's no logs. Although they put logs in the fire on the trains, don't they?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
coal,
they don't. They
really.
put coal. Yeah.
I'm thinking of what you have as a wood burner at home.
Yeah.
And that's not a train.
I'm going to go for the fact that the other ones were quite good alliteration or quite good puns.
Yeah.
That is going to be the log flume.
It is the log flume. There was a Great Expectations log flume in that building.
Your one was better. Your ones were better.
Thank you very much. But you got that right.
Thank you.
Question 2.
How many questions?
There's 10.
Ah.
When it finally closed
You're
in
not missing
October 2016, it was redeveloped as a retail park. But which one of these businesses used the site in which Dickens' world once stood? Was it A, a pet shop and a gym? Was it B, a laser quest and an amusement arcade? Or was it C, a fast food outlet and a tattoo parlour?
What was the first one?
Pet shop and a gym.
Pet shop and a gym.
That is correct. It was Mighty Claws and Gymfinity.
Nice.
And a Nando's extension. Because there was a Nando's there anyway, so they just extended Nando's out.
Was it an indoor park?
Yes, it was an indoor park, yeah. But that was
But
quite
not that big.
reasonably big to have a log flume in it. But
Oh, yeah, good point.
yeah, I'd have to have a look up and see exactly. I think I've seen the outside of it, but it's like one of these things. I think the outside of it was all along one particular area, but it must have gone back quite a way. It's quite in keeping that it was like a pet shop and a gym, because they were his three passions: animals, keeping fit, and spicy chicken.
Portuguese chicken.
Portuguese chicken. Question 3. What are the two cities in the Dickens novel A Tale of Two Cities? Is it A, London and Paris? Is it B, Paris and Rome? Or is it C, Rome and Madrid? No silly ones there.
London and Paris.
It was London and Paris. 3 out of 3. You're absolutely storming this. Question 4.
We left the windows open.
Yes. I'm going to ask you, what were Dickens' last words? We've left the window open. Was it?
That was before.
before he went to do his parachute jump. What were Dickens' last words? Was it
before the tsunami hit?
On that shelf? Was it B, behind the sofa? Or was it C, on the ground?
I wasn't behind the sofa.
His last words: on the shelf, behind the sofa, or on the ground.
On the ground.
That's 4 out of 4. He was having a stroke at the time, and he replied to his sister-in-law, who had just suggested he lie down. On the ground. And then he died.
Oh.
Question 5. Dickens had a country retreat in Gad's Hill in Kent, which he lived in for many years, but what unusual feature did it have? I was just seeing how cocky you were going to be there. Was it A, a secret room with a door disguised as a bookcase? Was it chimneys that were actually paintings but from afar made the house look grander? Or was it C, a fireman's pole that led from his study to the dining room?
A secret door disguised as a bookcase.
5 out of 5.
Yeah.
He even named the titles of the fake books and how many volumes there should be. Question 6. What unusual pets did Charles Dickens keep?
One of his passions.
A. Llamas. B. Snakes. Or C. Ravens.
Ravens.
This could potentially be your finest hour. 6 out of 6. It was ravens, and he had an eagle as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to keep the ravens company. Okay, 3 more questions. If it's 10 out of 10, I wish I brought some indoor fireworks. Question 7. What did Charles Dickens always do before going to bed? Was it A, he brushed his pet raven's beaks? Was it B, consult his compass to make sure he was always sleeping facing north? Or was it C, turn his nightgown inside out?
Oh, that's a weird one. Because if he's checking his compass to make sure he's always facing north, does it ever change?
Suppose not.
Brushing his raven's beaks, turning his nightgown inside out. Check his compass to make sure he's always facing north.
7 out of 7. Consult his compass to make sure he was always sleeping facing north because he believed it enhanced his creativity.
Oh.
Question 8. Which of these is not a character, which is not a character name from a Dickens book? Excuse me. Getting a bit emotional.
You are, yeah.
Is it A, Jerry Cruncher? Is it B, Herbert Pocket? Or is it C, Jeremiah Pottypots? Which of those is not a character name from a Dickens book?
I actually feel a bit of
I'm
pressure.
losing my voice.
I don't normally feel pressure in these situations.
Well, because you've got... Well, this is easily one of your best quizzes already.
Yeah, it is.
By a long shot.
Should we just stop it now?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice as I'm going through these.
Jeremiah Pottypots.
8 out of 8 it was. Jeremiah Pottypots. A, Jerry Cruncher is from a town of 2 titties. Oh, cities. I didn't even mean to say that. Oh, no. Bleep. Jerry Cruncher is from a town of 2 cities. I'm getting overexcited. Herbert Pocket drove the trains in Great Expectations. Jeremiah Pottypots wasn't one. Sorry. Question 9.
You know what's really funny about that is you said not and I was doing the opposite, so I actually got that one by mistake.
Oh, right. 2 more to go. The penultimate one. Question 9. What did Charles Dickens not do until he was in his 40s?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you'd have listened to the song that you told me you really enjoyed, you know the answer to this. What did Charles Dickens not do until he was in his 40s? Did he not drink alcohol? Did he not grow a beard? Or did he not eat a piece of fruit?
Oh. See, he's famous for having those like sideburny things, isn't he? Drink it. Oh, eat a piece of fruit.
Oh no, it's incorrect. It was grow a beard. He didn't have a beard until he was about 43. Oh my God. Oh, it's still a really good effort. 8 out of 9. Let's see if you can finish off the last one then. Question 10. Charles Dickens was also very fond of cats and was fond of one in particular called Bob. When Bob died, what did he do with the body to immortalise him? Did Charles Dickens turn one of Bob's paws into a letter opener? Did Charles Dickens make a fur cat skin rug from Bob so the other cats could lie on it? Or did he stuff Bob and use him as a footstool?
Oh.
So was it a letter opener, a rug, or a footstool?
See, he says he loves him, but all of them are really morbid ways of... Because getting it stuffed, but then getting it stuffed and use it as a footstool is another thing on top of it, isn't it? I don't think cats make very good footstools. Letter opener.
That is correct.
So I would have got...
finished the quiz with 9 out of 10. That is a very good effort.
Thank you. I
And
obviously clearly
that
know Charles Dickens.
Is the end of my little Charles Dickens quiz.
Well, I enjoyed that more than most. Because
Well,
I
because
did well.
you did all right, yes. You wasn't so frustrated.
Yeah, I was frustrated actually, but for
He was
a
with that
different
one.
reason.
It's a shame, but no, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you know a little bit more about Charles Dickens after this episode.
Yeah.
And maybe even people listening to this episode will learn something about Charles Dickens that they
And
didn't know
trains.
before. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed that. And the thing is, if someone does want to listen to more about Charles Dickens, they can listen to our episode about the pantomime. And that is our Christmas one for the year just gone.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a good one. But all of our episodes are available on the website, fatherandsundays.com. You can also send us messages by going on fatherandsundays.com, by going to the Contact Us page, or email us at contactus@fatherandsundays.com.
Okay.
All the episodes available on podcast platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, like, follow, share.
Oh, that's a new one, isn't it? Fred? Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yep. I've mentioned it before.
X.
Yeah, Twitter's now goes by X.
Yeah. Is it not called
Ridiculous.
Twitter at all now?
No. When you retweet something, it's called reposting now.
Oh my God, how stupid.
Yeah. It's like, the way I look at it is like, you know when Hermes changed their name to Every and rebrand in the hope that everyone wouldn't spot the things they did wrong previously.
And they're still rubbish.
See, he's done so much to change things with Twitter that he's had to change the name of Twitter so people will stop thinking that he's ruined
It's
Twitter.
like a mass murderer changing their name and thinking that means they're not a mass murderer anymore.
Does it not mean they're mass? I thought it did mean they're not a mass murderer anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all done then?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, until next time. Bye.